Oral Communication Quarter 1 Lesson 2 Communication Models. Objectives. Number 1, differentiate the various models of communication. Number 2, explain the process of communication through the elements involved. And number 3, recognize the importance of the models in understanding the communication process as applied in everyday life. Communication models. Communicating with others take us to a new experience. We are either the ones starting the conversation process or the ones receiving it. As the exchange of information progresses, both the source and the recipient go through favorable or unfavorable experiences. The two or more individuals involved may end up satisfied or discontented with the result. At some random instances, conflicts may incidentally arise, but still, the end goal of communication is always for building better human relationships. What is new? How often do you and your family eat all together? What do you normally talk about? What is it? Imagine your life and the world you live in without proper communication procedure. Would there be order or chaos? Would there be understanding or disagreement? Communication plays a crucial role in human life. It facilitates the sending and receiving of knowledge and information. It allows people to develop various kinds of social relationships. It gives an avenue for people to express their ideas, thoughts, feelings, and insights. Without it, societies will be restrained from developing and progressing. With all the advancement in technology, communication nowadays has changed dramatically, adapting the 21st century of life. Look at the representations below. They will help you understand the basic elements of communication. See how they operate and interact as the communication progresses. Models of communication process. A. Linear communication. Have you talked to somebody but did not get any reaction from him at all? Have you experienced sending a message without receiving any feedback? This is linear communication. Linear communication is a one-way focusing on the transmission of a message to a receiver who never responds or has no way of responding to the information conveyed. For instance, a competition organizer is presenting the contest mechanics. The message is final and cannot be contented at all. It could be the president giving a State of the Nation address on the national televisions, or a student who reads a poem or tells a story in front of an audience in a school program. Other examples include sending an email, reading a blog, or even the traditional way of having letters sent. We have the Shannon-Weaver model. An example of linear type of communication is the Shannon-Weaver model 1949. It is also considered as the mother of all communication models. It has one-way process starting from the source, producer of the message, passing through a channel, signals adapted for transmission, which may at times be interrupted by noise or barrier to a receiver, decoder of a message from the signal. The process stops after the message has arrived its destination. Be interactive. When was the last time someone surprised you? How did you react? Who was the last person whom you praised for a job well done? What a response did you get? What is the significance of getting a response or reaction from the person to whom you addressed your statement? Interactive approach is a two-way communication process where a response is given after a message is sent. The recipient of the action intentionally or unintentionally gives a feedback without the information received. So let us extract Rosalda and her mother's dialogue from the story. Nanay, I can smell the aroma of your best delicacy, adobo. Yeah, I know. It is the favorite of the family, so adobo is what I prepared today. I can't wait to taste it. Aling Terry's response to Griselda's statement proves that she decodes the intended meaning of the idea passed on to her. This is what we call feedback. See? Feedback makes a difference. If the mother did not respond to the statement of her daughter, the latter would know whether her mother understand what she said. The exchange of ideas or information verifies that both parties understand the message. Take a look at the next model, which is the Scrum model. Scrum 1954 visualized the process of communication as an exchange of thoughts and ideas. Feedback was added to Shannon Weaver model. The recipient of the message decodes it and creates a feedback based on his understanding of the information sent and vice versa. The figure identifies the six elements of communication, which are the sender, the message provided by the receiver and sent back as a response to the sender, and the processes of encoding and decoding. So remember, information may become useless if it is not conveyed properly to others. Thus, the processes of encoding and decoding are the key components of this model, including feedback. Encoding. Encoding is when an idea or information is translated into words and expressed to others. Decoding is when this idea or information is understood and interpreted by the receiver. Hence, the receiver must be able to send feedback to the sender in order to complete the process. Otherwise, the communication transaction fails. Scrum model, which is a two-way communication models, revolves around this principle. The process goes on starting from the sender source who encodes the message, transmitted it to the receiver, which he interprets, decodes the message, feedback is sent to the source, who in turn decodes and interprets the information sent. Communication is dynamic, so that is a transactional model. It has a complex nature. It takes place among individuals at any given time with any given subject. However, there are tendencies that barriers would interfere, which may create a sudden impact on and a change in the processing of information. In a classroom setting, for example, you are being grouped into five or six members for the activity. Your task is to give an opinion or reaction to the closure of the biggest television network in the Philippines. Each of you expresses your own thoughts regarding the matter. While having that activity, you also hear the junior high school graders having their dance practice for the upcoming event. The noise did not interrupt your discussion as you give your own views. This situation is an example of a transactional approach. The communicator, the source, encodes the message and transmits it through a channel. The message transmitted may be affected by the noise, which is barrier. The receiver, recipient of the message, decodes, processes, and filters the message for understanding and is now ready to give his own feedback to the sender. So we have the transactional communication model. The transactional model shows a circular process of interaction between the persons involved in the communication, with each one actively participating and sharing ideas with one another. They are the communicators actively exchanging information and reaction. Feedback is given freely and deliberately to one another or to all members participating in the communication transaction. The sender and the receiver may simultaneously exchange rules as communicators. Since communication is deemed dynamic and progressive, the topic may also change from time to time. In this concept, the noise or barrier to communication is also taken into consideration, for it may directly or indirectly affect the smooth flow of communication. In the event that the message was not clearly conveyed due to the barrier, the communication continues in order to clarify the intended meaning of the sender. When the transmission is cut along the way due to the barrier, the communication work collaboratively to understand each other. Now, the sender becomes a receiver of the feedback, the response from the receiver, and the receiver also acts as sender, providing information in response to the message conveyed to him. In this way, the communication is made more effective and complete. Thank you and God bless.